Bitcoin solves a lot of rising or growing societal concerns these days. Today, we get to go over or at least talk about another unique situation where Bitcoin, right, is coming into action, right, doing exactly what it was programmed to do. We'll be checking out what's going on in Canada. Let's dive right into it. Double O.
Champion!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're back in this beast, man. I'm excited for this.
Good to be back.
STAKK Nation, welcome back to the show. I know we've been away for a while now, man. You know, look, work has been slapping me around a little bit, you know.
Left,
but
right,
hey,
top, bottom.
It's all about finding balance, man. You know, it is what it is. I love my job though, so I'm not really crying about it. You know what I'm saying?
Even better, yes, we love the people that we work with.
Hey, that's what it's all about, man. How many people can say that? You know, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah. Listen, let's move on, man. Here's the thing. Bitcoin has been around for a while now, and if you've come across anyone who is into Bitcoin, they're all telling you the same things. There are certain concerns that we have as a society, right? And this is exactly why Bitcoin exists. But before we dive into it, I just want to say this. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe. Okay, hit the subscribe button. It's right there. It's easy. It's free, man. Easy, come on, man. You know. Just exactly. Like the video, right? Share the video. Follow us on Facebook, StackFin. Follow us on Twitter, StackFin as well. Peter Schiff is still crying about gold. You know, I feel sorry for him, man. I feel his pain, but all he has to do is buy some Bitcoin instead of being stubborn.
It ain't my fault to die to that.
Hey, Double O. So here's the thing, right? Obviously, Bitcoin has been around for a while, and we all know why Bitcoin is here. It's trying to solve certain problems that we have in society, right? Mainly along the lines of freedom, right? Individual sovereignty, if you will, and really financial freedom, right? Taking control of your own money and protecting yourself from excessively big government, overreaching leadership, if you will. Now, over the weekend, well, not even over the weekend, while we've been gone, because we've been gone for a while, and this has been going on for a while, right?
For a while, man.
There's been a protest going on in Canada. But let's roll back. You see,
oh, Canada.
Is that the anthem?
Yeah, they have a wonderful anthem, man. I love it.
Oh, really?
By the way, Canada is a beautiful place. If you've never been there, you need to go.
You know what I mostly know about Canadians is that they're really chill, man. And you can tell from their protests, man. They seem to be chill. Exactly. So, as you know, we've been dealing with a...
Corona.
Bro, are you trying to get our channel flag, bro? We've been dealing with a pandemic, right? And of course, there's been lockdowns, and there's been, you know, vaccinations and everything else in between to try and curtail the damage of this disease, right? Let's call it that. Yes, the COVID. And, you know, after lockdowns and everything else like that, vaccinations, you know, we already know that the general public, or at least media, has been pushing sort of a divisive narrative, if you will. So now we're in a situation where there is people who are for mandates and everything else like that, and people were not for it. So we have truckers in Canada who have decided, you know, enough is enough, right? We want to talk to our government and see what we can do about turning down the heat a little bit, right? Let's take a step back. No more mandates. And so, over the past couple weeks, right? If you've been watching the news, you would see that well over dude, it was tens of thousands, right? I don't want to say tens of thousands, but thousands.
I don't know the
of
number,
truckers,
just
right?
Yeah,
exactly. Thousands of truckers showed up in Canada's capital, protesting the mandates. But then, what happens?
Well, the people that supports them funded them. They say, okay, all right, let's go to GoFundMe since y'all decided to support all of us and, you know, take their action. We'll give you money in GoFund. and so that you guys can sustain the protests.
Exactly. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that, right? And so, $10 million raised from the truckers.
That's a lot of money, boss.
Right? And this is one thing I want to point out as well, and I think it's important to notice this. When you have people going out to protest mandates, and within a week or two, they're able to raise $10 million, I think that is a sentiment from the general public about how they feel about this, right? People were supporting this. Maybe they cannot come out and protest, but they're supporting that idea. And so, they raised this money to sustain the protests. But then, okay, we have this happen. GoFundMe freezes $10 million Canadian Freedom Convoy fundraiser. And this is just the beginning of the problems, right? You would think that for a private entity, right, this is probably something that they should not get into. Am I wrong on that?
This topic covers a lot, and I think it goes back to the reason why people keep continuing to push Bitcoin. So, right. Number one, GoFundMe is a private organization. It's not a government institution. How the government gets to freeze people's funds for supporting, a protest is one thing. Again, if people have the right, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, all that seems to be going out the window. Freedom of assembly as well. That seems to all be going out the window, and we call ourselves a democratic nation, Canada or the US. So even if I don't support the idea, I still don't think it makes sense for the government to say, okay, we're going to freeze the GoFundMe account. And GoFundMe themselves also now freezes the account to say, okay, we are pushing... Yeah. I mean, did it go through? Did it go through the entire court system for them to do that? No, they just went ahead and took action. It's like something a Nigerian president would do.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, here's where this gets even more disturbing. Let's say for some reason they decided, hey, we're gonna freeze this account. We're gonna not send the money to the truckers. It would seem that the next logical step will be to refund the money to the people who donated it. But it does not seem that's what was the first thing on these people's minds, right? You had people, or at least some government officials, trying to take these funds in the name of fixing up the city and all the destruction that was done, which, I mean, there's no destruction yet that we know of. But it makes you wonder, why is that the path, right, that GoFundMe and the government are taking in a situation like this? There is no, how would you say?
Let's have a town hall, let's have a meeting, let's have a discussion about solving this problem.
Right, there is no sort of mediation going on, right? I was trying to find a middle ground. And that shows that there's a massive disconnection between leadership, right? And governments and the people themselves, right? The people who vote them into office. Elections and all of these things is not just about, it's not the show. It's not just about going out there to just be like, oh, I voted for someone. These things have real effects on your life, right? When you vote for someone, it's because you're expecting something from them, right?
We were just talking about that on Public the other day, too.
Yeah.
That, government, politics, and money, they're not too far away. They basically hand in hand.
This is true. So, and that also kind of, and this is something we'll be covering later on in the week as well, but just Black America and the Democrat vote, they
just automatically vote for someone because they're Democrat. They don't understand the impact of the policy.
I find that extremely concerning. It's extremely concerning for sure. So now, furthermore, this does not end here, right? Because what happens next is that the Canadian government essentially comes out and says, hey, we're broadening the scope of Canada's anti-money laundering and terrorist financing rules, right? So that they cover crowdfunding, which is, there is a, what would you say, a judicial system. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Right?
They didn't go through that process. They just went straight to...
Exactly. Where you discuss these things, you put it up for a vote, if that's what needs to be done, And then at that point, you can change the laws. But these people essentially change the law overnight, right? And so let's see, say Canada expands money laundering laws to stop truckers. These new changes effectively criminalizes the act of sending money to the truckers, whether it's via Bitcoin, Cash App, or GoFundMe. So in one, I guess, pen stroke, if you will, they turned everyone to terrorist or funding terrorists. What are your thoughts on that one?
They even get to freeze your bank account. So they basically F up your life.
I didn't even add that in there, yeah. But that is, I find that very shocking, right? I would like to believe that something like that cannot happen in America, but, let's just leave that speculation and just keep it there.
Quick summary. You got a problem. People came out to protest. You froze the GoFundMe account. They decided to use Bitcoin. Again, another solution that Bitcoin is providing. And then now you say, because they're using Bitcoin, now you call them a terrorist. So all of a sudden, being a Bitcoiner is making you a terrorist.
It's making you a terrorist.
Technology makes you a terrorist.
Well, here's the thing. We'll even roll back because, first of all, when GoFundMe froze the funds, right, Bitcoiners kind of jumped up, right, to rescue the situation, and that just shows human nature, right? Mm-hmm. People are kind. People are nice, right? I think, yes, there's bad people out there, but I think for the most part, people are nice, man, because people tend to do the right thing in most situations. So Bitcoin, you had a lot of people who just kind of donated Bitcoin, set up a wallets, right, where they could send this money to the truckers and everything like that. They were only able to do that because of what Bitcoin delivers, what it promises. Which is another reason why, like you said, you want to own Bitcoin. Now, there is this claim that they're going to confiscate Bitcoin. And of course, there are people who are not educated on Bitcoin and they believe that the Bitcoin can be taken from the people. Well, it can if you're storing your Bitcoin on a centralized exchange, right? Say something like Coinbase or something like that, because not your keys, not your wallet. This is why it's important to learn how to store your Bitcoin by yourself, right? Have self-custody of your Bitcoin. And most importantly, I would also say, as people learn more and more about when these things happen, right, it's really just acting as a commercial for Bitcoin, because now people start to say, wait, these people can really do this. Well, let me see what these Bitcoin people are talking about, right? So at the end of the day, it's just been great promo for Bitcoin.
There are two lines of thought. There are those of us that understand what's going on in the community, that we're currently seeing the impact, and those that are just kind of sheepish and numb to what the society is doing, not asking any questions, that think, Bitcoin is being used for fraud. It's okay if the government does that. But it's never been that way. That's not the purpose of government. We vote them into office to serve the people. And if the people have a concern about the government should act to respond to those people in a normal, democratic way, not a totalitarian way, which is what we are starting to see more and more for the sake of security. Since this whole 9/11 is just the push of, we want to protect the people, so we'll infringe on your privacy, we'll infringe on your money, we'll infringe on your protest. And it's like, come on now, it's not that easy. People just want a better life, and government is not providing it.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, man. I think Trudeau handled this situation poorly.
Badly.
For sure.
Terribly.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm kind of wondering why the U.S. government has not kind of made any comments about it yet. Of
because
course,
the U.S. government is doing the same thing.
They were busy with Russia, but it's very interesting. But I think that this is very important for people to pay attention to this, because this is exactly the reason why we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin solves things like this. Governing is a handful. I do not envy people who are in these positions.
No,
right?
I don't want to be a politician.
You cannot make anyone happy. Yeah. So the best thing to do is to unload some of this burden that these people have, so that they can be better leaders, right? And that's why Bitcoin is here, So
more transparency, automate.
Exactly.
That's why we have technology, man. Automate some of this political drama, left and right. No,
this is true.
Software does a lot of things. Software has made our life easier. Because of software, we're able to do this right now.
So
why don't we
much
just
easier.
implement that with money? Why don't we implement that with politics? So that we'll remove the old discriminatory aspect of the human factor of it and just let computer does what computers do.
Money is the only thing that has not evolved.
It has evolved. It has not entered the technological hemisphere.
No, maybe you're thinking about like just digital
rocks,
transactions and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, but money because it's kind of gone back and forth, right? This is why we've had multiple civilizations that have failed continuously because they all keep using a similar system. But getting to a point where you have money that is fixed, that can stand the test of time, right? And it's under the control of the individual. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin is just an evolution of money that has never happened before, right? And so, listen, man. Even you even have presidents of central banks coming out against against fiat at this point. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Well, let us know what you think in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Any final thoughts down below?
Thanks for watching. It's good to be back.
So tell us in the comments then, do you have Bitcoin? Do you think that this is a right move from Canada? And where do you think this goes next, right? Please comment down below. We'll be glad to engage with you there. Before we roll out, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, STAKK. Follow us on Twitter, STAKK as well. And of course, on Instagram, STAKK Crypto. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, brazen out.